On the vibrant planet of Valaris Prime, the air was thick with celebration. General Lucas stood at the center of a gathering that celebrated his daughter Ava's 18th birthday, an age marked as the threshold of womanhood and responsibility. Colorful banners fluttered in the gentle breeze, and laughter echoed like music. But beneath the festivities, Ava struggled with the weight of her father's reputation. She was known as the general's daughter. But how could she forge her identity amidst the towering shadow of that legacy? Without warning, the atmosphere shifted. Suddenly, the joyous sounds were eclipsed by the ominous roar of engines. Dark ships sliced through the azure sky, blotting out the sun. Panic erupted as alien vessels unleashed a relentless barrage of energy blasts upon the settlement. The festive ambiance transformed into a swirling chaos of fire and screams. "Dad, what's happening?" Ava's voice trembled as her eyes widened with terror. "Inside, to the bunker," Lucas shouted, his soldier instincts kicking in. He seized Ava's arm, pulling her through the chaotic streets. Blasts illuminated the darkness, and debris fell around them like deadly rain. As they reached the bunker and scrambled inside, the metallic doors slid shut behind them. Lucas's eyes flared with determination, while Ava's heart pounded in fear. When the alarms screeched to life, revealing emergency holograms, the gravity of their situation settled. Ava's world was crumbling, but from the ashes rose a fierce tenacity in her spirit. As destruction raged outside, she whispered a vow to herself. She would not let this be the end. The shuttle shot off into the void, leaving their home behind, but with it a fierce resolve ignited within Ava. She stared into the abyss, whispering her silent promise, "I will fight. I will protect my father and reclaim what we've lost." The galaxies flickered around them, and her journey had just begun. The vigilant star trembled as it surged away from Valaris Prime, a planet engulfed in flames behind them. Ava, buckled into her seat aboard the ship, couldn't shake the haunting images of the destruction. Tension tightened her chest as she scanned the somber faces of fellow survivors. Each wore the marks of panic and loss, yet there was an unspoken determination simmering beneath the surface. General Lucas commanded the bridge with precision, barking orders to the crew as they monitored the scanner for signs of Gornath pursuit. "Prepare for hyperspace jump. We need to get to the nearest safe zone." His voice boomed, providing a fragile hope. Ava's heart raced as fear coursed through her veins. Beyond the sleek console, she spotted familiar faces, friends, allies, some still shaken from the ambush, but they were all united by a shared mission: survival. "Let's move. We're not finished yet," Ava urged, her voice steadying. She assessed the looming coordinates on their navigation system, whispering silent prayers for safety. Suddenly the alarms blared. An enemy scout ship appeared on their radar, swift and menacing. Adrenaline surged as the crew sprang into action. Lucas adjusted the ship's trajectory, desperately maneuvering to evade capture. "Brace for impact," he commanded. The ship rattled violently as they veered through asteroid fields, narrow dodges pushing the crew's courage to the limit. "Ava, initiate evasive maneuvers," Lucas yelled over the roar of battle. Her fingers flew over the controls as she cleared sweat from her brow. With every narrow escape, Ava felt the weight of her destiny, a realization that their fight was just beginning. The adrenaline fueled her spirit as they jumped into hyperspace, stars streaking into lines of light. In that moment, she made a silent pact. They would reclaim their home, their lives, and she would rise to the challenge. When they docked at the nearby space station, the atmosphere was tense. Ava stepped into the command room, her senses heightened. General Lucas convened the survivors to discuss their next steps, their former peaceful lives hanging by a thread. "We are faced with an unrelenting enemy," Lucas began, his voice thick with gravity. "The Gornath seek revenge for past conflicts, and they believe we know something crucial, something we cannot let them have." Ava shifted restlessly, a knot of dread tightening in her stomach. She had always felt connected to her mother, who'd vanished years ago. The sudden realization struck her. Her mother's legacy lived in the artifact she had kept hidden. It was meant to protect, but could now be their downfall. As the discussion intensified, Ava couldn't hold back. "If they want the artifact, Then we must understand why it's so important. Her voice rang out, catalyzing the conversation. The room went silent. Faces mirrored her reflection of grief and determination, each person weighing the cost of the battle ahead. Lucas saw the spark in his daughter's eyes and knew he had to encourage her burgeoning leadership. "Gather whatever intel we have on the Gornath's forces," he instructed. "We have to prepare for what's to come." In that moment, Ava's heart swelled with purpose. She began to strategize alongside her father, channeling her mother's spirit as both a warrior and a scholar. Together, they explored the possibilities that lay ahead. With tension electrifying the air, Ava felt the passion ignite within her. She was ready to claim her place in history, not as a shadow of her father, but as a heroine in her own right. Setting their course for Kiros, the team braced for a storm of uncertainty. The planet was home to the Solari, a technologically superior race that had long withdrawn from interstellar conflict. Inspired by the hope of forming an alliance, Ava felt exhilaration alongside apprehension. As they descended onto Kiros, the atmosphere buzzed with unfamiliar energy and vibrant colors. Ava's heart raced with a mix of excitement and anxiety. Time was not on their side. The crew disembarked, finding themselves surrounded by soaring crystalline structures and lush landscapes. But beneath the beauty, there was an air of apprehension in their every step. Upon reaching the Zilari Council, the members regarded them with guarded looks. Ava's voice resonated as she passionately pleaded their case. "We face a common enemy. The Gornath threaten not just humanity, they endanger your world as well. We need your help to stand against them." The Solari remained skeptical, prideful warriors hesitant to involve themselves directly in human matters. But Ava understood their plight well. With compassion in her heart, she shared her personal story, recounting her loss and expressing her commitment to reclaiming peace. Finally, Solari leader Thal leaned forward, intrigued. "Your bravery is commendable, young one. But bravery alone won't win this war." He raised an eyebrow. "We require more than words. We demand action." As comrades joined forces, Ava and Thal forged a meaningful connection, recognizing shared values and fucking the bonds that would anchor their alliance. With their combined strengths, they conducted rigorous training exercises that blended human tenacity with Zilari agility. A sense of kinship enveloped the group as they learned to trust one another. Each day strengthened their newfound alliance, culminating in a moment of unity when Ava and Thal exchanged weapons, a gesture of respect and camaraderie. As Ava tapped into her newfound potential, she felt the weight of both her mother's legacy and her father's expectations ignite her spirit. United, Ava and Thal planned their next move. With the Solari by their side, they would soon unleash a storm of retaliation against the Gornath, and Ava hoped to prove that their alliance was not merely an act of survival, but a profound step toward reclaiming their futures. The war room aboard the Vigilant Star pulsed with tense energy as the crew gathered to strategize. Holographic star maps glimmered in the flickering lights, painting a picture of the Gornath's movements throughout the sector. Ava stood poised at the center, her heart thundering in her chest, every eye fixed on her. "We've waited long enough. It's time to take the fight to them," she urged, her voice resonating with conviction. "If we hit one of their supply ships, we can disrupt their operations and send a message. Humans will not stand down." Lucas nodded approvingly, silently recognizing the leader she had become. As they plotted their mission, they dissected enemy formations, examining routes intertwined with calculated risks. Everyone weighed in, taking ownership of the plan. Each contribution solidified their unity. Yet, shadows lingered beneath their resolve. Disagreements surfaced, uncertainty creeping in as some doubted Ava's tactical prowess. "What makes you think humans can fight the Gornath head-on?" one crew member challenged, skepticism lacing her tone. Ava held her breath, her heart racing. But then she steadied herself, recalling her training and the lives they had lost. "Because we are fighting for everything we love. We are united by loss, and that gives us a strength they'll never comprehend," she declared, determination blazing in her piercing gaze. Their confidence returned, solidified by a collective goal. As days passed, they rehearsed every maneuver until it felt like second nature. Finally, the day of the strike dawned, a moment poised to test their mettle against the formidable Gornath. With the crew gathered for morale, Lucas addressed them. "We remember why we fight. We move together, each step synchronizing our resolve. Together we will be victorious." As they prepared to jump to the enemy territory, Ava could almost taste it. The thrill of impending battle coursed through her veins. The vigilant star surged forward, the infinite expanse of stars veering away behind them. She felt the weight of destiny pressing upon her shoulders. It was time to face the darkness, to reclaim their purpose, their pride, and their future. Ava stood on the bridge of the vigilant star, heart pounding with anticipation as they approached the Gornath supply ship. The tension among the crew was palpable, the silence thick with unspoken fears and hopes. As their target came into view, her hands gripped the control panel tightly. "Stealth mode engaged. Awaiting your command, General," a voice echoed through the cabin. "Prepare weapons and begin countdown," Lucas instructed, rallying the crew's focus. Ava's pulse quickened, anticipation mingling with dread. She glanced around, catching the eyes of her comrades. They were ready, united as one. As they launched their attack, the ship pierced the veil of darkness, unleashing a tempest of energy blasts that lit up the void. Gornath ships swarmed in response, returning fire with reckless fury. The cockpit exploded with noise, and alarms screeched as their defenses rattled. "Reinforce shields! Flank to the left!" Ava shouted, adrenaline spurring her voice. But just as victory seemed within reach, a piercing betrayal shattered their resolve. Lieutenant Karras, a trusted member of their crew, stepped forward, his eyes filled with betrayal. "For the Gornath!" he shouted, relaying crucial information directly to their enemies. The crew reeled as chaos erupted. Blasts of energy soared, and confusion spread like wildfire. The shield walls buckled under the onslaught, and panic surged through the cabin. A fight against an internal enemy waged, unraveling the very foundation of their unity. "Ava, regroup!" Lucas yelled, clutching the controls. "We have to pull back." Gritting her teeth, Ava fought against the tumult of emotions within her. Betrayal cut deeper than any blade. With fierce determination, she rallied the remaining loyal members, calling out commands to escape the fray. "We must distance ourselves, regroup. We will not fall apart." As they began their retreat, Ava realized that before they could confront the Gornath, they would need to hunt down the traitor and reclaim trust among their ranks. The journey back to safety was fraught with loss, but the seed of vengeance would germinate into their future battles, a promise ignited within her mind. They would rise again and hold strong. Noxaris, the hidden planet cloaked in mystery, welcomed the reeling crew of the vigilant star as they sought refuge. Ava stood at the ship's viewport, gazing at its lush landscapes and hidden wonders. It felt surreal, a world alive with an energy that pulsed distinctly different from their despair. Inside their temporary command center, tension seeped into every crevice. The crew members were bruised both physically and emotionally, shadows of doubt clouding their faces. Ava took a deep breath, stepping forward to address the assembled group, all eyes scrutinizing her every word. "We've faced betrayal, but we cannot let one man's treachery define our fate," she declared, her voice echoing with determination. "We are united in purpose, stronger than ever. It's time to gather our resolve, learn from our mistakes, and prepare for a stronger future." Nods began to ripple through the crowd as doubts were momentarily silenced. Ava noticed Thal among them, his calm gaze filled with understanding. Together, they initiated a series of rigorous training lectures. Ava absorbed information like a sponge. As weeks turned to days and days morphed into action, they forged bonds through grueling exercises. The crew grew stronger as they transformed past losses into motivation, embracing their wounds as fuel for their unwavering determination. Each night, after training sessions, Ava would venture outside and find solace in the quietude of Noxaris. Thal joined her one evening, and their conversations illuminated the path ahead, deepening an understanding as they discussed hopes and fears. For the first time, Ava felt the pull of her mother's legacy intertwining with her own destiny. Maybe I can learn to harness the artifact's power, she confided, hope flickering within her. Thal nodded encouragingly. Together we can explore what's hidden within you. When the skies shifted into hues of red and orange, marking the dawn of a new day, Ava knew they were gathering not just muscles and strategies, they were recultivating trust. United as one, they prepared for the battles ahead, ready to reclaim their futures and seek vengeance upon the Gornath. The air crackled with excitement as Ava and the crew of the Vigilant Star finalized preparations for their first real offensive. They gathered in the ship's command center, an electric anticipation buzzing through the room. Today, they would take the fight to the Gornath, launching a raid against the very supply ship that had eluded them during their previous encounter. As their ship soared through the stars, Ava's heart raced in anticipation. Today, we show them what we're made of, she rallied the crew, her voice igniting a fire in their souls. We strike hard, we strike fast, and we do it together. With every passing moment, the adrenaline surged higher. From the viewport, the Gornath ship materialized in the distance, a dark fortress that housed their supplies and secrets. When the moment arrived, Ava barked commands as they entered the enemy perimeter. The battle unfolded. Energy blasts illuminated the void, erupting around them like fireworks. They danced between enemy fire, their training paying off as they maneuvered through chaos. Ava directed the crew from her position, her instincts sharper than ever, as she coordinated air assaults that hit the Gornath where they least expected. As the battle intensified, she spotted a Gornath commander attempting to rally their forces. Channeling her growth, Ava seized the moment, a surge of courage propelling her forward. "We cannot let them regroup," she shouted to her comrades, her voice rising above the tumult. With calculated precision, they struck at the heart of the Gornath defenses. Together, they delivered a blow that stunned both friends and foes alike. In that moment, Ava felt a fierce satisfaction. They had turned the tide. But the battle was not without its sacrifices. As the enemy ship began to falter, a Gornath missile shot forth, hitting the Vigilant Star and sending tremors through the hull. The ship shook violently, and alarms wailed as they reeled from the blow. "Hold steady, we can't lose now," Lucas called out, his resolve unwavering. Strengthened by camaraderie, they pressed on, determination fueling their actions. As chaos reigned around them, Ava could feel hope rekindle amongst the crew, ignited by their shared experience. They were not just human soldiers seeking vengeance. Together, they had become a force of nature. With the Gornath forced into retreat, Ava pumped her fist in triumph. Today, they had fought back and begun to claim their legacy. As the battle-damaged Vigilant Star returned to Noxaris, a bittersweet victory unfolded. Cheers erupted among the crew, celebrating their successful strike against the Gornath. But beneath the surface, a looming dread lingered. The respite was fleeting, sacrifice had been made, and they would have to face the consequences for all that lay ahead. With weary eyes, the crew assembled in the command center as Ava braced herself to address them. The camaraderie they had developed was infectious, yet she could sense the weight of uncertainty hanging in each heart. "We've faced immense challenges," she began, her heart heavy with the totality of their losses. "We've tasted victory, but we must learn to navigate the tough decisions ahead." As murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd, she felt a moment of clarity. "I understand that our next target could lead us into even greater danger. If we attack their main base, we risk everything. We could lose not just our lives, but everything we fought for." Discussions ignited amongst crew members, conflicting opinions clashing. Some advocated for a direct assault while others cautioned against it. With emotions running high, the room transformed into a battlefield of wills, second-guessing the very resolve that had forged their alliance. "Each of you must decide where your loyalties lie," Ava said firmly, voice unwavering. "This will be our hardest choice yet. Are we willing to sacrifice for the greater good?" Time passed like molasses as the crew weighed their options, each member reflecting on the loss, the price they had already paid. It was during this moment of reflection that Ava noticed a shift. The realization hit that they had all found purpose beyond survival. rekindling a sense of identity shaped by bravery and loyalty. The collective decision crystallized into resolve. They would mount an offense toward the Gornath base. They would write their own fate. "We do this together. No one fights alone," Ava stated, her voice ringing with conviction. With hearts ignited and spirits bound together, they began preparations to confront their greatest challenge. The path ahead wouldn't be easy, but if they were to emerge victorious, they would do it as one, a legion forged not just by battle, but by unwavering faith in each other. The calm before the storm enveloped Noxaris, as the crew of the Vigilant Star prepared for their largest offensive yet. As tension hung thick in the air, they engaged in final mission briefings, voices echoing with purpose in the command center. Ava stood at the helm, aware that the moments they spent together could lead to either glory or heartbreak. "It's more than a mission. This is our chance to reclaim everything we've lost," Ava said, her voice steady. She scanned the faces of her comrades, all familiar, representing lives intertwined in the fight for survival. Each heart was a mirror of her own determination. In the days leading up to the strike, training intensified. The crew ran drills tirelessly, bonding through sweat and shared history, revitalizing their hope. Each evening, as they gathered for strategizing, thousands of stars sparkled outside the viewport. Ava often reflected on her mother and the artifact that pulsed gently within her reach. She realized she had to learn to wield its power. Under Thal's guidance, Ava practiced channeling the energy of the artifact, feeling it awaken dormant abilities. The weight of her lineage flowed through her, revealing glimpses of potential while connecting her to the very essence of what they fought for. As the day of reckoning drew near, emotions ran high. The crew gathered one last evening, huddling closer than before. Lucas looked to Ava, his pride evident. "You remind me of her," he said, voice filled with emotion. "You've grown into a remarkable leader." Moved by her father's words, Ava felt a fire erupt within. This was more than just a fight for survival. It was a legacy, a call for loyalty and love that spanned across galaxies. Hand in hand, they formed a circle, voices unified as they spoke their intentions aloud, together. When dawn illuminated the skies, creating ripples of oranges and crimson painted against the horizon, Ava knew what they faced. The impending battle would forge their destinies. Whether victors or vanquished, they would emerge warriors, carried forward by hope and undying courage. With resolve firm in her heart, she looked towards the stars. "We will not be silenced. We will strike, and we will prevail." The day of reckoning had arrived, and as the Vigilant Star soared through space, an all-consuming tension electrified the crew. Ava stood poised at the center of the command room, her heart racing with anticipation. Today they would confront the Gornath at their stronghold, a confrontation that promised to test it all. "Prepare for battle," Lucas commanded, his voice steady and authoritative. The crew rushed to their stations, adrenaline surging like electricity, memories flooding back of the sacrifices that had shaped their journey. As they entered the gravitational pull of the Gornath base, Ava's instincts exploded with tension. The sight was both intimidating and awe-inspiring, an intimidating fortress pulsating with energy and guarded by formidable ships. They had to breach that stronghold and access the heart of the enemy. "Let's show them what we can do," Ava shouted, driving her fellow crew members forward. With preordained precision, they unleashed a torrent of blasters toward the Gornath defenses, creating a lane for their ships to penetrate. Explosions lit up the starry backdrop as chaos unfolded. Ava led her squadron, maneuvering the ship expertly through a barrage of fire, while comrades fought valiantly beside her. Her heart raced with each decisive moment of battle, a fire igniting within as they advanced. The adrenaline surged as they cleared the path, finally breaching the inner sanctum of the Gornath stronghold. Amidst the chaos, she spotted the Gornath commander, the one responsible for the attack on her home. "Ava, now's your chance," Thal yelled, his voice firm as they faced the commander together. Across the dark expanse of the command chamber, the commander stood menacingly, eyes fixated on Ava, as if recognizing the lineage that held potential for unearthed power. "At last we meet," he sneered, his voice dripping with contempt. But instead of fear, Ava felt her spirit surge. Channeling the artifact's energy, she unleashed a torrent of blinding light, emanating power she never knew existed. The clash erupted in a dazzling storm of energy and fury, both sides grappling for dominance. Ava relied on her training and instincts while drawing from the strength cultivated through every sacrifice. As the battle raged, they stood united, humans and Zolari fighting as one. In a fierce moments that defined everything, Ava believed in her comrades, their collective stories entwined, every loss and every victory. Together, they would rise, and as the dust settled, they would become legends, not just against the Gornath, but for all who dared to fight for their dreams. With the dust settling and silence creeping into the void, Ava surveyed the wreckage, her heart heavy with both relief and grief. The battle had raged fiercely, and as the remaining Gornath forces retreated, it became painfully clear that victory came with a price. Amidst the wreckage left behind, the emotional toll began to sink in. Friends had fallen. Sacrifices weighed upon their hearts as they mourned their losses. The crew of the Vigilant Star was not just a band of warriors, but a family forged through blood, sweat, and unyielding courage. As they regrouped in the command center, solemn faces shared stories and whispered memories in reverence of the fallen. Ava stepped forward, determined to honor their legacy. Together we fought, together we survived, and together we will remember those who gave everything, she vowed, her voice a beacon of resilience amid the darkness. As they navigated the aftermath, new alliances began to form with other civilizations around them. News about their victory spread like wildfires from planet to planet, igniting sparks of hope for oppressed species throughout the galaxy. Ava understood that their fight had forged a critical turning point for the future of intergalactic relations. Writing to the Zolari leadership, Ava proposed a coalition, a unified front to encourage peace and solidarity. Thal stood beside her, representing his species as they expressed shared ideals of progression and cooperation. Together, they mapped out plans for rebuilding worlds torn asunder by war. In the quiet moments that followed the chaos, Ava found comfort in the presence of Thal and Lucas, realizing she had forged new paths while cherishing her mother's legacy. They connected with survivors, emphasizing the collective strength required for the journey ahead, their hearts now intertwined with solemn dedication. As she looked toward the stars, Ava envisioned a brighter future, one where they could learn from the past, united by their resolve to promote peace. Through the fires of conflict, they had discovered not only their identities, but their indomitable strength. As the galaxies began to heal, Ava stood on the observation deck of the Vigilant Star, enveloped in dreams of a better tomorrow. The sun streamed through the viewport, illuminating her determined face, each ray a reminder of the resilience they had forged in the face of overwhelming odds. In meetings with leaders across the newly formed coalition, they established commitments to foster understanding and bridge the gaps that once divided their worlds. Ava's heart swelled with pride as she watched the unity grow, knowing they had become the torchbearers for a movement that equated defense with diplomacy. When it came time to deliver the first public address as ambassadors of peace, Ava's voice rang out across the thousands gathered, aliens and humans alike ready to embrace a new chapter. "We stand here not as conquerors but as friends," she declared, hand raised high. "We emerged from the fires of battle, but together we transcend warfare as we lay the foundation for a new era of coexistence. We will no longer tolerate strife. We will champion understanding." Roars of approval rippled through the gathering as hope ignited in their hearts, illuminating the path they had forged together. With every powerful word, Ava felt the echoes of her mother's aspirations, as if she stood beside her, guiding her every step toward peace. As the coalition began to hold joint educational sessions, social exchanges flourished, and bonds were created that transcended differences. Ava found herself collaborating with Thal, building a council focused on shared beliefs and respect. In the stillness before night settled within the realm of stars, Ava took one last look outside the ship, breathing in the warmth of gratitude. She held the artifact close, understanding that it symbolized not just the remnants of her past, but the infinite possibilities of her future. No more division, she vowed to herself, only connection. With newfound purpose, she set her sights on the vast universe awaiting exploration, a light in the darkness. Together, they would venture into the unknown, bravely discovering not just new worlds, but also the potential to craft legacies that spanned generations. The universe was theirs, and with it, hope radiated with every pulse of light, undaunted, unyielding. They were a new breed of warriors, champions of peace, ready to wield their strength against whatever darkness lay ahead.